Alright guys, what is up? Today, as the title says, and as the beginning of this video you heard, we're gonna be recreating some burial style drums. This tutorial I feel like is quite long overdue on the internet. There's pretty much like very little out there in the way of this kind of tutorial. And what is out there I didn't think was quite up to par. Now, I wouldn't say this is like the best burial recreation I've ever heard. There's definitely people who have gotten a lot closer, but I think that you can learn some things from here, and I did some techniques that I read about in like interviews with burial and like just general things that the information that has slipped out there, I've used that to inform making this. So yeah, it's not as complicated as it looks in this project file because we got like 10 tracks. It's not too crazy. Basically, I'll just start with just the actual like percussive elements that are going on somewhat quickly through here. So yeah, we have like this. Now you can hear obviously without all the atmosphere, it's not quite as cool. And yeah, that's like kind of a big thing I want to say is like a lot of this isn't just like the drums that you hear in the track. It is a lot to do with like the way that they sit in the track, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not just this stuff. Obviously, this is pretty good, but this isn't getting us all the way there. What we need to get us all the way there is all this extra atmosphere stuff. But yeah, as far as these drums go, it's just this hi-hat. I'm not sure exactly where I got this from. Let me do show in browser. I'll see. Okay, so this is some hi-hat that I chopped out of a track like a while ago. And then I pitched it down. Basically I just have this little pattern, this it's just got little swung 16th notes here, as you can see. And then those are turned down because you can see the waveform is a lot louder on the upbeat than it is on this note. And yeah, there's not too much to this. It's more about the texture of your sound, like listening to it. Here's the original. It's just more about like I said, like the texture of your sound and giving it that sonic characteristic and quality that is there in a lot of burial songs. What I will say though is like you're better off finding a sound that sounds really good right off the bat and then maybe doing a little bit of editing to it like I've done here with this EQ than taking a sound that's garbage and making it good, or just taking a sound that may be good but isn't really fit for this style and trying to fix it into this, because it's not going to work. You're better off. The key is to take sounds that are 90% of the way there to what you're going for, and then get them that extra 10% to 100, if that makes any sense. So that's what I did with this, just by pinching it down. And then I have this EQ on there. Here's without. It's just like a band pass. Not too much to say there. It just sort of helped to get like into the darker vibe. Like without it, it just felt too like bright and sharp. But yeah. Now I want to talk about the famous rim shots. I guess that's sort of a rim shot. Yeah, this is the rim shot from Archangel. So not too creative there, but this rim shot, and it's like completely unprocessed, so maybe not the most, maybe not the best thing, but I could tell you how to get to the sound. And the key is by using like a rim shot, like something like this one. And then like pitching it down a lot. See, we're already like pretty close to the sort of Archangel rim shot sound. But yeah, and then as far as this one goes, it's just this rim shot that I found. Just like a very straightforward rim shot sound. And what I have on it is I have two EQs and a little bit of distortion actually from the amp thing in Ableton. So the first EQ is just making it a little bit darker and boosting it around here. The key to these rim shots is actually around like 200 hertz. And like in the mid-range in general, it's like this section of the mid-range and then this section of the high end needs to be cut, basically. And that's like part of how you really get that like Archangel kind of Rimshot sound. As far as this goes, that's just adding a little bit more like grittiness to it and taking it in a little bit of a different place sonically. Distortion is a very good way if you do want to take sounds that are very different than what you need and try to change them to what you need. Distortion is a good way to do it because you're essentially just adding harmonics over top of the original sound, which is obviously, how this all works, is harmonics. Let me know if you want me to make a video about harmonics in the description, because I could talk about that for days. And then it's just swung a little bit. As you see, this is where the note should be, and then I just moved it back a little bit, so it's like swung a little. And then after that, I just had this other EQ, which, as you can see, just sort of really gives it that darker sound. And the key to using these little percussion ones as well is they need to be quieter and softer and rounder than the main one. So the main one is like this. It's like I don't want to say it's like sharp, but it's very like cracky. Like it's very like. And then this one is just kind of softer. Whereas if I let this one just be like bright, and it's not as like impactful when you hear this one. So it's like very little details. This is something I was just talking about in a lesson I was giving actually. Is like, it's about what's it called? It's about like the little tiny details, as opposed to like focusing on one thing to be the main picture. Is like, okay, if you paint a picture, for example, you're not gonna paint like a really beautiful tree and then stick figures. You would paint like a nice background, really nice looking people, nice tree. Like, I don't know, I'm not a painter, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's about the little details, and every little part make up the whole, as opposed to just, oh, let me get the really good burial rim shot, and then everything else can just be garbage samples. It doesn't really work that way. It's about the whole thing. And it's about consciously thinking about the end product while you're working on it, as opposed to just the one element that you're working on at that time. And yeah, after that I have another rim shot, I guess. It's like this sound. I'll show you the original. Show in browser. It's just taking a second, I guess. Okay, there we go. So it's like that sound. And I think, yeah, I pitched it down -6, and I put a fade on it, so it'll be like shorter. And then I put this EQ on. So without the EQ, and then with. It's the same thing I was saying. It's like you got to make it a little bit darker so that this main rim shot can be more impactful. Now the kick, if you see, it says Rim06. I actually use a technique that a lot of people talked about on the burial subreddit, as well as just like, I think somebody somewhere, there was some information where like burial may have said that he did this or something. Basically, I took a rim shot. I'll show you the original rim shot. And I made a kick out of it. And it's actually easier than it sounds. Oh, I guess that is a, okay, let's pitch this up a bunch. So, let me see if I can get to the original sound again. Sorry. Okay, yeah, so I took like one of these kind of rim shot sounds. I pitched it down minus a lot of semitones. And then it just made this kind of like dark and boomy sound. And that works for this too, because burial's kicks, if you listen, aren't always just like thick and like short samples. A lot of times they're like these longer, more drawn out, boomier kind of samples, which don't hit too hard when you're just listening to them, but when you hear them like in a car or something, they're a lot more like boomy and thick, kind of like an 808 kick is. And yeah, it just kind of works to like glue everything together too, having these like longer kicks, because it adds to the atmosphere, if that makes any sense. And then just have a little EQ8 on there just to cut out some high end to make it a little bit darker and rounder. And that's pretty much the like one shot drums. Now the other stuff, that's only really half the battle, because the other stuff I have going on is quite plentiful as well. So what I have here is these two little hits. I have this, and then an 808 kick. And if you hear what those do, the 808 is not super loud, but this is something I hear in Archangel and in a lot of his tracks, is like having that one hit that's super boomy, and then the rest of the drums keep going is like a very good way to get to add to the atmosphere. And you don't want like a huge impact. Like don't want like a super hard EDM impact. You just want something like this that's very just sort of soft and long. I think I got this from a 99 Sounds pack. If you don't know what 99, yeah. If you don't know what 99 Sounds is, it's just this company, they like put out these like, it's often kind of cinematic sounds, and they're just very good quality, and they're free, and they're made by like their community or whatever. So it's a very cool little thing. But that's how I got this little hit. And then this 808 is just the 808 from the Ableton library, just like the 808 kick that comes in the Ableton library that you get when you download Ableton. Now, as far as other atmospheric elements, so I have this like vinyl noise. It's pretty quiet. Let me turn it up. Which is just like a nice one. I don't know. That's not too much to say there. If you want vinyl crackle samples, they're all over the internet. Obviously, this project file and the samples are all available for free in the description if you just want to use this one as well. I also have this like train sample, which I have filtered a little bit. Because originally it was like this. Just a little bit too much going on. So I filtered it down. And that helps with the sort of like stuff. And it's a little bit percussive too if you listen. Those little like sounds are actually kind of helpful in getting more toward like what another thing is like having sort of random percussion that isn't always perfect. Having these little hits in the background and your little noise can really help. I can do a lot of cool stuff. And that's sort of also shown in this too. Because I have this sample, which I didn't do any filtering to that. I think I got this one from like the Ableton SoundCloud or something, but it has like this little percussive thing in it, which you can hear at certain times throughout it. Yeah, see, it's like, but it's not perfect. It's not like every single time you're expecting it. So it's cool when it just comes in randomly. And that's kind of like the key, is to make things organic and not sound forced, and make them just sound real. That's like the real thing. It's like to getting these kind of sounds. But anyway, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Project file is for free download in the description. Let me know what you thought of the tutorial. Maybe like it, maybe share it, maybe comment, maybe subscribe. You know, check out my sample packs in the description, and thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow for another tutorial. Peace.